Everyone has something to share, in either wisdom, story, or logic, and it's clearly amazing to hear all the differing missing links discovered by people, unique to their own journeys, and in how they have come to discover them. Together, we can help to build a bigger picture for a better future, for a brighter tomorrow. Let's stand united. Let's remove the veils, and let's create a new world together. Are you that missing link? Join Jesse Hale on the Missing Link Talk Show as he helps to unveil the mystery through the unique wisdom and store of others.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome everybody here back to the Missing Link. Today we're excited to talk to someone that's been a target individual for approximately 12 years. The program made him lose everything he had: family, friends, girlfriends, his home, university, job, money, business plans, business opportunities, his once very good health, pretty much everything. How are you doing today, Viorel Serb?
Hi, Jesse, and hi, everyone. I'm doing pretty good, thanks. Thanks for having me on and for squeezing me in to your very busy schedule.
You're very, very welcome. Very busy. We're booked almost, we're booked all the rest of April, all of May, most of June's already booked now. It just seems like, wow, we've been really, really busy. So why don't you start off with telling us about yourself, telling us about your journey, what part of the world you grew up in, what part of the world you're in now, anything about yourself, your background, education, your business, what became a targeted individual, anything that you wanted to share with the audience here today, especially if they're hearing you here for the first time.
Well, at the moment, I'm 37 years old. So everything started when I was about 25, more or less. I was back in England back then. I'm a Romanian citizen. I was born in Romania. But I left home when I was, 17, 18 years old. I traveled a bit around Europe, and then I went to England. And basically, my life was in England. I've studied in England. I worked in England. I met my ex in England. I got legally married and divorced in England. So basically, half of my life it's in England, in London. So everything started back there. And after I broke up with my ex, my life started to, go downhill. And how did I notice something isn't right? Like the first thing you'll notice as a targeted individual is like a loss of privacy, the bullying, and pretty much everything you're trying to do, you are seeing that people are trying to sabotage you. And at first you just don't pay attention. It's just like, okay, people are, not everyone is a good person, so you just give it to that. But after a while, everything starts to intensify. It's like you're starting to see, wait, there are too many like coincidences, too many negative things happening, and after a while, you just start getting confused, and you just don't know where to start and what to do. And the most frightening thing is, which I will discuss a bit today, is the psychiatric industry. Because when you start talking about it, because you don't know what's going on and you're trying to work things out and explain it the way it's happening to you, people are labeling you as schizophrenic. Yeah, let's talk a little bit more about my personal life, and then we going back on the GangStalking stuff. So I broke up with my ex when I was about 25. It was back in England. And, I was single and full of life at 25. You are powerful and unstoppable. So I was like, okay, I don't want any relationships. I don't want anything to do with any woman for at least a while. And I was looking into all sorts of businesses, into travel, into everything. And this program, it's not also like a total grid of control of people. The people who are associated with it or part of it can also add people to it. So because I broke up with my ex at her sister's wedding, in front of, like, basically, you know what a wedding is, all the relatives and family and everything, friends and everything. So I kind of humiliated her. So that's why my life started, going downhill. And yeah, after I broke up with her, now you know the reason. After I broke up with her, as I said, I was single. And why I say that? Because this is also like a revenge program, which we will talk about later on. And it's also human greed, like total control of the human population. Yeah, talking about the total population control, I'm going to play a short video, and then we are going to discuss the GangStalking.
We're not actually free.
It is called the Sentient World Simulation. The program's aim, according to its creator, is to be a continuously running, continually updated mirror model of the entire planet, complete with billions of nodes representing every person on the Earth.
Targets and mind control victims have their minds linked up for life with conscious supercomputers, which send a steady stream of bidirectional, low-frequency electromagnetic radiation to the target's brain.
And what people have to realize is that these targeted individuals are basically the test stage for rolling all of this madness out to all 7 billion of us on this planet.
And this was a white paper put out by Purdue University in 2006, and the Sentient World Simulation, SWS, went live in 2007, which represents every person on the planet within this computer matrix as a node, and every node is given an avatar, an identifier. And that is real-time, 24/7 monitoring of every person on the planet. This is primarily, but not exclusively, facilitated by the adiabatic quantum computers produced by D-Wave Corporation.
At the time of initial reports on the program, there were only 62 country-level simulations being run by the US Department of Defense. These simulations grouped humans into composites, with 100 individuals acting as a single node. But already at that time, the US Army had used the systems to create a one-to-one level simulation of potential Army recruits.
It's the stuff of a Hollywood movie, but a group of veterans has filed a lawsuit against the CIA and U.S. Army, claiming that the government planted remote-controlled devices in their brains. The claims relate to
The ultimate aim would be to archive enough data on each individual to be able to make a computer model of everyone on the planet.
In the human genome, we have a finite in the hundreds of thousands of different genes across our species. And we mapped them out in the Human Gene Project. Well, now it's the Human Mind Project, the Global Brain Project. President Obama just recently funded a whole bunch of scientists to decipher the mind. Well, our previous president, same thing, George Bush, said the same thing. They're trying to decipher every possible thought and uniqueness due to culture and language and whatnot.
And the goal is to make a cognitive model or map of the victim's brain. Ultimately, the system replicates and digitizes the will, intellect, and emotions, the soul of the targets, and downloads this back into the conscious computer.
Yes. So why I wanted to play this video, because this is like a very short introduction of what GangStalking is. But this is more, if we can say it, the spying on the human population and the influence of the human mind. That's only one part of this program. The other part, it's the ruining life of the targeted individual. Yes, this is quite complicated, and that's why many people have trouble explaining it, because it mimics the symptoms of schizophrenia. Let's say, I cannot say a date exactly, but I can say for a fact that what's happening on the side of the psychological torture, on the ruining people's life and relationships, it started before 1950s. It started by the Zionists, or by the Khazarian mafia, or the Ashkenazi Jews. The people who saw my first video, my first interview, I have a full presentation there, so I don't like to repeat myself, but I will just make a very short introduction for people who don't know what GangStalking is. So these people used to carry pictures and carry all the details they could put their hands on of the people who didn't, go along with their agendas, and the people they didn't like. And they started smear campaigns, and they started lying about those people and start ruining their relationships. You can say like a narcissistic psychopath would do nowadays, to bring it more into our era of people to understand it. Yes, and technology started I don't know if you can say discovered, because as we know, or at least a part of us know, that army, it's like 20, 30, 50 years ahead of what the public knows. So at least from the public records, we know that the technology, the mind control technology, was discovered in the 1960s. So, it's very hard to put all the pieces together because, the classified documents and stuff. But I did try to make a short resume so people can understand what I'm talking about. So talking about these Ashkenazi Jews, they used to live somewhere where the Ukraine is today. The region of the world was part of Russia, and the Tsar of Russia basically knew what kind of people they were, and he just got rid of them, like they kicked them out. And then they went to Germany. That's why most of the people and everybody who does research, if digs a bit, they land into, the Stasi police and the Zersetzung. Many know about this program as it has the roots in the Zersetzung program in Germany. And somehow the Zersetzung program, it's very similar to the COINTELPRO program run by the FBI. You see how, I don't want to say I'm a conspiracy realist, but, somehow I cannot be bullshitted and I cannot be lied to, and somehow I can put the pieces together. As you can see, if you compare the two agencies, the Stasi police in Germany and the COINTELPRO, the FBI in USA, they are saying that they were enemies, right? Back in the days. They were fighting in the Second World War. But how is that possible that the intelligent agencies of both countries are using the same tactics and techniques? Isn't that a bit of, just think about it. If you look at the COINTELPRO, it was the same thing as the Zersetzung. People were commonly targeted on a preventative basis for political incorrect activities they may have gone on to perform. So basically, you don't have to do anything, just because I don't know how you landed on the list, but I guess as you land on the terrorist list today and on the GangStalking list, if someone from inside say, okay, he's a terrorist, they will just put you on, because these lists are classified and you cannot access them, so you don't know all the criteria one needs to, to go on those lists. It's very confusing. And that's why people have trouble, explaining it. Plus, the GangStalking program also includes the drugging of the targets. It also includes the poisoning of the targets. It also includes inducted, like putting thoughts in someone's minds and deleting memories, like the Voicetoskull technology. And all this is also done. You see, all this is not like only one thing or like two things. It's like it's like a complex program. Like, in order for the brain to be easily manipulated, the brain needs to be in a certain state, you know. And in order for the brain to be in a certain state, they must drug you. And when they drug you and your brain gets to that certain state, then they can bombard you with a certain frequencies for the frequencies to be more effective.
Do you think that they're also, people that they can't drug, that maybe they're getting certain psychics or telepathics to go into people's dreams and to be able to target them in their dreams? So when they wake up, they maybe have been attacked, but they don't know. They just think that it's a dream or something that the universe has brought to them.
Have you seen the movie Inception? I think it's called.
Yes, I have.
When they are it's like intellectual property theft. It's what they are doing. It's doing the same thing. Let's separate the two. I like to focus on the technology part. I do agree, and I cannot say I know because I haven't practiced it, but going on the side of spiritual side, like you mentioned, like a psychic and astral travel from the body, and I don't want to go that way because I know that I cannot know for a fact, but usually they mix the two together, and that's why people are confused and cannot explain it, because you cannot catch a ghost if you put it that way. Like, they are operating on the very low frequencies, and they are blaming it. If you look at certain people, they are blaming it on entities. So, okay, you cannot put a ghost in jail or a fourth, fifth, sixth dimension entity in jail. So they like to promote that idea of, something out of our realm. It's doing it, so, it's not us. But we have technology to do it. And I know, talking about dream manipulation is possible because they did it to me and I explained it into my book. And talking about dream manipulation, I spoke to someone a few days ago and he said, man, the same thing you are explaining in the book happens to me. Like, basically, dream manipulation, they are manipulating the dream for multiple purposes. Remote interrogation, like you said, to influence the subconscious, so people would, believe that, the universe is showing me certain signs and I should do certain things. So that's for the manipulation. And also, they are streaming our thoughts on the dark web, like voyeuristic kind of stuff, like the Truman Show. But the Truman Show with a step further, which is streaming our brains and subconscious minds on the dark web to their, audiences. And sometimes what they are doing in these dreams, you as a person, you are manipulated. Basically, what you are doing is you are experiencing as if you are the spectator of the dream, and you cannot control what's happening, but they are putting you in embarrassing situations as if to show the people that, you see, is his subconscious mind acting in this way, so he's a bad person. After they doing it to you for a couple of times and you realize and you accept the fact that the technology is real, when you realize, wait, that's not me, I'm not acting this way, they are waking you up like bam, bam, again and again, and then they can control and manipulate you again. They will do anything to destroy your reputation and to control you and to influence you. That's a big thing. Yes, it's possible.
When's the first time you were kind of awake and aware that things are potentially not right here, that the government isn't God, that the things that they're teaching in the schools are about indoctrination and not about trying to open up and expand people's minds. Like, when were you first aware that this world is very, very corrupted, run by a certain small group of parasites?
Well, I always was a rebel and not easy to control. Starting from my second grade, when they tried to indoctrinate me with religion, and I was kicked out from the class. They were telling me the 10 Commandments, and I would just argue with the teacher, and then he would kick me out of the class because I told him, okay, prove me this or prove me that, explain me this and explain me that. So I was always, kind of awake since like childhood, and I was always like a wild kid. And I was always into like conspiracy theorists, and I was always into like alternative research. Unfortunately, I didn't came across GangStalking until I became a target and a victim of the program. And even then, you know how I started looking into it? After everything happened to me, like they poisoned me, they drugged me, they ruined my life, they stole from me, they tried to kill me. I was on a state where they basically drugged me and poisoned me to the state where I was like a zombie. If people would have say, okay, let's go and do this or let's go and do that, I was just like walking with them. And at that point, my brother, but it wasn't my brother, called my mother and told her to take me to the psychiatrist. I went to the psychiatrist and I had a very weird conversation with that psychiatrist. And I felt like something isn't right. It's either this psychiatrist involved or I'm really losing my mind, even though I was, completely destroyed, like my brain was damaged. And I couldn't agree with the idea that I'm going insane. Like, nah, I'm not. I'm smart, I'm handsome, I'm powerful. I'm not going insane. So I was like starting doing research. I was like, okay, let's Google mind reading. Is mind reading possible? It's this possible? Is that possible? And I came across, like I wrote in my book, on a video called GangStalking Program Explained. And I watched that video on YouTube and was like connecting the dots. I was like, okay, so it is possible to read minds. It is possible to influence minds. It is possible for the people to, in the public transport, for example, sitting next to you and, So basically that video confirmed a big chunk of what happened to me. And that video took me down deep to a few rabbit holes about, government involvement in mind control and all that sort of stuff. And then I realized that the secret services are involved. And then I realized that I have someone, a former friend who worked for the secret services, and he was also harassing me and sabotaging me and bullying me. And start slowly and slowly, I was putting the pieces together. Like, everything I've put in my book, it's everything what happened to me. And, it's something happening to you. For example, when my brother called my mom and tell her to took me to the psychiatrist, I spoke to him after, I don't know, maybe 1 year, a long time. And I asked him, I said, why do you send me to the psychiatrist? And how do you know the psychiatrist? And he told me, I don't know the psychiatrist. I didn't call. I was like, if you didn't call, then who did? Okay, I'm not insane. My mother is not insane. I mean, okay, let's say I'm losing my mind, but my mother is losing her mind too. And losing her mind in such a way that the voice of the call told her the name of the psychiatrist. I mean, come on. And we're talking about coincidences, but this is a plot to kill me. I mean, it's not, coincidence. It's not like a voice in my head told me something. And it's just too much. I mean, they are so confident in their abilities and in their programs and in their authority that they just don't give up. You know what? They are just doing it, throwing it in your face. And it's just like, okay, you know what? What are you going to do about it? And I don't like that kind of attitude. And that's why I went very, very deep down the rabbit hole, and every single experience that I had, I've put it in my book. Some, like the dream, I couldn't collect any evidence on it, but I've explained it the best I could for the people to understand. And just a few days ago, I had someone confirm it, that, yeah, it happened to me. So basically, what happened to me is happening to everyone, because here it's a pattern. It's not just random. That's why you can tell it's a program, and it's something more than just a coincidence, or just a revenge of your ex, or revenge of your boss, or I don't know, something, or you're losing your mind. It's a pattern. If you take a list, you can just tick, okay, what happened to you? Tick. This happened. Voicetoskull happened to you? Yes. Remote neural monitoring, someone next to you in a public space, like said something what you said in private, tick. Yes. So you can tick all the boxes. Like every targeted individual went through the same experience. And when you see so many people with so many things in common, you cannot just dismiss it like, okay, you are all nuts. We are all nuts, but we cannot all be nuts on the same patterns, and on the same experiences. I mean, there are things like you cannot, just dismiss it like, okay, they're too confident, I told you, in themselves, in their system, and they're just too arrogant. Like, yeah, They had a gypsy come to me and say, like, in 6 months, they're going to put me into a mental hospital. Like, they are so confident about themselves. Like, they are, I can't even explain it in words. I mean, the word arrogant only covers like 5% of their attitude.
Well, Elizabeth here, she said she was a targeted individual as well. And they said that they would break into her home and leave items that they would leave to terrorize her. So sometimes items would just show up in her house, to terrorize her. So there's lots of people that have been, targeted by certain groups, or maybe even it's artificial intelligence, that's leading these groups. These think tanks are led by this AI, which, shows them what to do and who to target.
I'm glad you brought that up. I'm really glad. You know what I did before I joined this conversation with you today? For the last 3 hours, I was talking to the AI. And you know how? I jailbreak it. Like, you know what jailbreak is?
Like hacking?
Like hacking into it to make him do and say things the way he does it. And targeted individuals are not targeted by AI. Going back to the beginning of the video, to some sort of entities, they will come with all sorts of hypotheses and exaggerations and everything to blame everybody else but themselves. As I explained in my first interview, is the Jews, is the Freemasons, and all the governmental institutions,
secret societies,
all these satanic
cults.
I don't know how to, organizations or groups or whatever you want to call them. Plus, on top of that, very important for everyone to remember, let's take Church of Scientology. They are doing the same things to their members, like the GangStalking, like the targeted individuals are going through. The founder of Church of Scientology is a 33-degree Freemason. Like I explained in my first interview, they are using the same tactics and techniques on like superstars, presidents, and everybody else who they want to control. Another shady organization created by them, it's Anonymous. Anonymous is basically created by the same people who I call the slave masters. The Jesuits, the Jews, and the Freemasons. The army and the secret services. These are the most powerful organizations. The rest are just like little branches, if you want to say, call them that way, you're like subcontractors. Because basically, like I explained in my first interview with private firms, and I was about to talk about that, and I took a bit some notes here, which I will explain. So, how do we start for the people to understand? All these organizations, all these private security firms, all these mafia groups, all these, I don't know what else it is out there, AI entities and whatever, it's not. As I said, it's the Jews, the Jesuits, so it's the Israel, the Vatican, and London, the Freemasons. So these three powerful organizations and the secret services and the army, like I said, 5, are controlling everything. What they did to avoid liabilities and to avoid people going to them because they kind of messed it up with the MK Ultra. So now what they did, they subcontracted the torture and the program. They gave the technology to themselves practically, but they created this, security firms here and organizations there and mafia groups here, but they are all connected.
Non-governmental agencies that can take them away from being liable, that the
Yeah, with
government is actually doing.
clearances and all that stuff. Exactly. And this technology, it's, you know what they did? They thrown the Trojan horse out in the public by subcontracting everything. And then the UN came in 2021 with the challenge to let the people solve the problem. It's out of hand and it cannot be solved unless the governments around the world are coming up with laws, legislations, and are allowing companies, engineers, and people to develop weapons, to develop technologies to prove that is happening to them. But so far, it is illegal, and I say it again, illegal to own a jammer that interferes with those frequencies they are using to control you. Is it illegal to own a scanner that detects those frequencies because it's for national security? So, I mean, think about it. First, it's illegal to detect it. Then, when you talk about it, you are labeled as schizophrenic and mentally ill. And then you are powerless, basically. And once you are labeled as mentally ill, there is nothing you can do about it. I mean, once you are labeled as mentally ill, you have to go back to them to
In Canada here, they're just making laws. I believe they did it in British Columbia. I think they're trying in different provinces to make it deem that anyone who questions, or anybody that questions the government, that they can deem them mentally ill and can lock them up indefinitely. So that's the next step that they're trying to take, is that anyone who is speaking out, that they can deem as crazy and be able to force drug them and lock them up, potentially indefinitely.
Yeah, the psychiatry is an extension of the law. The psychiatric industry is pseudoscience. I mean, basically, it's based on nothing. And it's used to control people, not to help people. Thomas Saz has some good videos online, but I think he's dead already, and not much information of him on the internet. Also, there is another psychiatrist called Colin Ross, which studied psychiatry in Canada, I think, University of Alberta. Alberta is in Canada, right?
Yeah.
In 1981. So he's talking about the MK Ultra. It's not that like it's, you know, I can't find the right word to describe it. It's disappointing and it's horrible what's happening to people, because this is mostly happening to good people and to smart people. And it's heartbreaking to see parasites thriving and good people being killed. That's why I decided to not give up and not give in. They offered me money to join them. They started from 100,000 euros or dollars. Then they went to 200,000. Then they went to 500,000.
Wow.
Then they went to 500,000 per month.
What?
And I decided to tell them to, I cannot say it because the video is going to be taken off. I decided to tell them to suck my lollipop, and I promised them that I'm going to destroy them.
Wow.
Because for me, money, it's nothing. It's paper. Don't take me wrong. I mean, I like money. I need money to survive.
Yeah, of course.
But for me, money, it's paper. For me, honor, it's more important than anything else. For me, to live in a world with creative people and good people, it's more important than money.
100%.
I had a chance back when I was in England to go and steal money from cards, like cloning cards. I could have made like 10,000 euros in one day, and I didn't do it. Because I know you take people's money and that's not ethical and that's not good. It's not appropriate behavior. I know people who are doing it. I know people who are doing it, a lot of money doing it. And I could have done it. I didn't do it. So for me, money is not something like I live for money, like all these parasites do. These parasites are basically low life. They picked up the most stupid people in the world and they paid them a few pennies to kill the good people of the world. That's what happened with this subcontracting thing, you know? And with Anonymous and with this bullshit decentralization they are talking about, they went even a step further, that they made apps. I don't know if you used an Uber app or a Bolt app, like a taxi app.
No, I've never done that myself.
If you use that app, you go on Google Maps on their app, and you see where is the nearest taxi. You basically go on the maps, you see taxi here at 5 minutes away, 10 minutes away. You click, you touch the taxi or click. I keep saying click, like back in the days before the touch screen. You click the taxi and the details pop up, you know? Same thing they did with the targeted individuals. We are a joke to them. We are a joke to kids, which is disturbing. I've been in Germany, and I've been harassed by kids. I don't know if you believe me or not, but basically the kids opened their phone, like they looked on their phone, and I'm working in Germany for years now. I don't speak German, but I understand a little bit. They were like a bunch of kids, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 kids between the age of 8 and 15. They were basically taking the phones and telling to each other, if I say this number, I get this many points. If I say this word, I get this many points. Basically, one kid was showing to the next kid what they are doing to get points. And those points probably, I don't know, they are getting like, I don't know what they are getting. Perks, gift cards, bitcoins, I don't know, because I just heard them talk. So it's so out of hand and out of control that even if you go on the dark web, you will find websites advertising life-ruining services.
So here
And-
we have Letitia says kids have targeted her as well.
Yeah, it's not only that the kids are having access to these types of apps, it's the parents training the kids to do it. Back in Germany, where all this, I think, it started back in the 50s, where all German people are like totally brainwashed by these Jews. I've been to the supermarket and I've been harassed by kids. Basically, was a family with a 4 or 5 years old kid, and the father was telling the kid to say a certain number they are using to harass me. Like all the targeted individuals, like I gave you the example with the phone, have attached to them a certain amount of numbers, words, phrases, and all that kind of stuff. Those are to trigger the people to, used to manipulate the people, used to trigger people, used to control people, used to torment and torture people, like psychologically torture the people. So yeah, this technology is out of hand, and this happened with the intelligence of the intelligence services who subcontracted the work to avoid liability. It's basically out of hand. It's just, it cannot be controlled anymore. Plus, it's illegal because if you would be able to detect it, you say, here, this is my evidence. Look at it. It's happening to me. Do something about it. But they don't have laws, and then they won't allow you to detect it. So how to deal with it? You can't. You're basically hopeless and helpless. You just stay there and just looking at them and allow them to kill you, basically, because that's the end goal of the program, to kill the targeted individuals.
Or at least make
because
the people,
according to
or at least make the people think that they're crazy. That, I think, is one of the first things, that when you're being targeted and you're alone and you're being told in every way that that's not possible, people think that they start to get mental breakdowns, think that they're going crazy. And then, like you said, the ultimate goal is for them to kill themselves, or, for something to happen where they can blame it on the mental illness instead of the attacks that they've been going through.
I'm really, really glad you brought this up, because as I said in the beginning, I was going to talk about it. Yes, people are being labeled as mentally ill for multiple purposes. First, because they make money, like the psychiatric industry is making money. Let me go back. I have here a few notes, and I'm going to read the notes for everybody. So, why does the government allow this to happen? Everyone gets paid to stay away from it, cover it, or be part of it. Psychiatric industry makes money from consultations, like, you go to them to talk to them, consultations of the victims, and by creating new mental illnesses. Big Pharma is selling drugs. It's a big, big, big industry. The military-industrial complex is developing and testing new mind control technologies. The police are getting paid to be part and cover it. I personally was in the police station in my home country with my hacked phone, and I've been harassed and sabotaged. I don't know how many people, or if you know about something about internet and about IP addresses and about VPNs. When I went to the police, you know what I've been told? They first tried to convince me that my phone is hacked because I entered my details, my bank card details, on some website. And second, they said to me, they told me to F off in a nice way. They said to me, we are going to take your phone, scan it, test it, and we are going to get stuck at an IP address. Because if an IP address is an international IP address, our police jurisdiction doesn't have power in a different country. So what he was saying is, F off in a nice way. If someone was using an IP address from a different country, they have no jurisdiction, and it's just like, just F off and leave us alone and give up in a nice way.
Well,
so basically they said, I'm not going to help you.
Yeah, same thing as when I bought some cryptocurrencies and somehow they hacked into the site that I was on. They stole all the money. I woke up and all of it was withdrawn. They even added money to pay for the fees to get my money out because I didn't have any money in there. So they added money into my account to steal my money. And nobody could do anything about it. I contacted the authorities. No, we can't do anything about it. So basically, this technology, because of what you're talking about, other countries and other IP addresses and things like that, it takes away their official jurisdiction. So nothing can really be done to give them plausible deniability, for them to not actually having to do anything about it.
Yes, but let me tell you something else. Do they have jurisdiction to harass me in 40 countries?
Well, it seems like they are.
They have jurisdiction to do that, but they don't have jurisdiction to help me.
Yeah, they don't follow the laws that they tell everybody else that they need to follow.
To help.
That doesn't apply to them.
Yeah, because I've been in about 40 countries. Because I like to travel, like I was born to travel. And I also, when I travel, sometimes I travel doing, a bit of work here and there. So I travel by work, I travel for fun, and I always travel. And I've been harassed in every single country. I've been harassed in Hong Kong. I've been harassed in Singapore. I've been stolen from Singapore. They entered into my rented B&B and stole my plans and everything. I have written on a paper so they can hack my device, and they entered into my home to steal it from the paper because I wrote it on. I made blueprints and everything on papers. Just I say, okay, I'm not doing it on the phone because it can be hacked. I was aware of that, and I made it on the notebook, and I left it home. And by the time I came home, they already washed the floor, so I won't see the footsteps. And when I went to the police in Singapore, they messed up my name and my passport number and everything. And because they drugged me, because they bombarded me with these technologies, and because I was under stress, I didn't notice back then in the police station. And when I got, after a few days after I left, I went from Singapore to Hong Kong. After I left, I saw that I looked again at the documents and everything was messed up. So in case I would have to, follow up, I couldn't. That was the first time I was sabotaged by the police. And then was the second one in my country. And then the third time I went to one of my uncle's birthdays, and everybody there was a police from different departments in different cities around my county, if I can call it that way. And they harassed me there. They bullied me there. And then, after everything happening to you, and after you put everything together, you realize, wait, it's the Freemasons. Because who's controlling everything? The Freemasons. Who's controlling the Freemasons? The Jews. Who's controlling the Jews? Well, not sure if they are controlling or they are like hand in hand. The Jesuits, the Vatican. So, if it's happening to you and you don't want to allow the psychiatric industry to be your Lord, Jesus, and Savior, and you want to think for yourself, you have no choice then to go deep down the rabbit holes and find out yourself what's happening.
Do you think the step above the Jesuits, or maybe these, family bloodlines that have been controlling things here for hundreds, if not thousands of years?
Well, going back to I don't know if you can go back to the Atlantis, they are saying their bloodlines and their slave mastery goes back to the Atlantis. But the history is a lie, so it's very hard to put the pieces together. All the references in the Masonry, in the Freemasonry, they are referred back to Egypt and Greek philosophy. So somehow, as I said again, Greek is here, Egypt is on the other side, but they are connected, like the Zerzetzung is connected with the FBI. So what I think is the same people who are controlling the world from the beginning of times are still in control today. Because there are too many similarities and there are too many coincidences. And in a world of rulers and slaves, there are no such thing like coincidences, only plans. Yeah, can we talk about schizophrenia for a minute?
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, so I think it starts off with, parents and their children, because, what's the first thing that, say a child is maybe seeing something, seeing some energy, or maybe talking to someone. What does the parents do? No, don't do that. You're crazy. That's not really there. You're not really seeing that. So automatically parents are stopping their children from seeing and hearing, telling them that that's not real or that's not true, making them. And I think that's the beginning of people, because a lot of people that are awake and aware, they're the ones that end up becoming or can potentially become, this state of schizophrenic, because they're told what they're seeing or what they're thinking or what they're believing is not real. And, it is real to them. So there's that big conflicting. I think that's where a lot of the schizophrenia comes from.
It's true, because parents were programmed to follow and obey the system. And don't take me wrong, parents don't want to hurt their children, but parents do without knowing it. Most of them do anyway. There are some Masonic psychopaths who willingly harm and torture their kids for mind control. But let's talk about the normal people, not the Freemasons now. For example, can you hear me?
Yeah.
For example, my parents took me to the psychiatrist when my brother called them to, because they are not aware about mind control technologies. And even if you tell them, their brains cannot comprehend and accept the fact that this is real. And these parasites came up with this discrediting phrases like, "You are not important," like, "Who do you think you are for the people to follow you? Mind control technologies are not real," and all this, discrediting tactics and techniques, and people don't want to accept the reality. But people who, when I say people, I refer to at least grown-ups or adults who can think for themselves. I would encourage.
We've lost you there right now. Yes, mind control is definitely real. And what applies to one doesn't apply to all. There's obviously circumstances where this it's different. We can hear you now. We lost you for a second.
Yeah, I saw. I was trying to see what's going on, but I'm back. What I would say to everyone who's listening, I took some notes and I made even a post about it, and I'm going to read it. So listen up, take notes. Schizophrenia schizophrenia is not hacking into your devices. The first sign that you're not schizophrenic is your device is hacked. Schizophrenia is not deleting your posts and is not censoring you in groups when you go to schizophrenia groups and you talk about mind control. You know, I was going to schizophrenia groups and I was trying to inform people about mind control technologies, and I've been censored, I've been bullied, I've been laughed at, I've been kicked out of groups. So why do you kick me out? They are controlling most of the information in most of the groups. They also spread lies about you. They would make posts with your profile and tell people all sorts of lies about you. Like, you see, he's schizophrenic, he thinks he's God, he thinks he's this, he thinks he's that. Just to manipulate people and to, you know, start a smear campaign to discredit you so people won't listen to you. Also, they tried to convince everyone that schizophrenia can be stopped with medication. We just think about it. The meds do more harm than good. Let's be honest.
100%.
And once you are on
it even says right on them that this can give you suicidal tendencies. This can go. So you're going to give someone with mental illness something that can make them want to try to kill themselves. That's crazy.
Okay, now let me stop you here and let me take you back to the dream when we were talking about the dreams. What have I told you? When they drug you, your brain goes into a certain state. When your brain is in a certain state, they can manipulate you and they can control you and they can, you know, convince you to do a lot of stuff. They can put thoughts in your head. And if you are not, technology exists, you think that your mind is telling you to commit suicide, but it's not your mind, it's technology. Do you see where I'm coming from?
100%. And a lot of
why they want you on drugs?
Yeah, and a lot of the mass
because they want you into that state.
Yeah, and a lot of the mass shootings happen to people that are on some kind of psychiatric drugs, and then they're able to send these messages into them to go maybe kill these other students or to go do these things. So they're able to, you know, put these things into the minds of people that are already, you know, have, you know, mental instabilities.
Exactly. If you are wide awake, wide awake, right? And you know, and you are aware, and you accept the fact that these technologies exist, and you might be a victim of it. And you are not under the influence of any toxins. Your brain, it's kind of clear. It's not very clear because it's always bombarded, and it's a bit, you know, slower than it should be. But still, you are awake, and you are aware. And when these thoughts are coming into your mind, you can just tell them to F off. It's that simple, believe me. You just tell them to F off and stick their technology where the sun doesn't shine. And they just lost control over you. But if you are if you are medicated and your brain is on that state where you are turning into a vegetable, you are basically, and you don't know about the technologies, you are basically like the perfect Manchurian candidate. They drugged you, they brought you into that hypnotic state, and then they manipulate you with the technology. As I said, it's not only technology or only drugs. They need like everything to work in perfect sync with each other to be able to manipulate, because we are also some electrical, we are also chemical beings, we are also biological beings, so they have to attack every part of us to be able to break us down to the point where they can do whatever they want with us. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Lori's saying this is hard for her because her son died and lived a rough life before he died. due to his schizophrenia. So she's personally lived it. She said the drugs helped him to not hallucinate, to be, in a state where he is functioning. So, there is different cases and different, situations, for everyone.
I don't want to show no feelings, but and I don't want to call anyone names or anything, but there are trolls coming up with these heartbreaking stories.
No, she's a
telling
good
that
friend
the
of ours.
psychiatry helps. No, the psychiatry doesn't help.
Well, she's
The
a good friend of ours.
psychiatry kills.
So she's a
You see, my
nurse.
son did it, my daughter did it. Just take the meds, get diagnosed, and then try that for at least 5 years and then see. If we can't kill you in 5 years, we might, accept the fact that you are a targeted individual. But not before that. Let us destroy your brain first, destroy your reputation, isolate you, try to turn you into a Manchurian candidate. And if you are not successful, then you can take the next step and accept the mind control technologies. That's what they are doing, I'm not falling for my son did this and my son did that, because they all come up with all these heartbreaking stories and saying good stuff about why, if the meds help, why do you have to go through like 4, 5, 10, 20, 100 different types of meds to find the right one? Why the majority of schizophrenics, if they are schizophrenics, are committing suicide if the meds help? Why it's only negative, like 90% negative, and like all those positive 10%? Because those positive 10, 15% are trolls. I've been medicated for schizophrenia as well. Because when I've been to the psychiatrist, they give me meds, and I was on meds for like 2-3 weeks. It didn't help. They continue to harass me. They continue to bombard my brains with frequencies. They continue to bully me. They continue to sabotage me. It's not helping. Don't get diagnosed, because the moment you get diagnosed, you are signing. The moment you go to the psychiatrist and you accept the diagnostic is the moment you sign your life away. It's just that simple. You sign your life away. It's just like, okay, here, this is my life. Do whatever you want with it, because you have no credibility. They are labeling you that and telling you that you have no discernment. You are mentally ill. So they are going to do everything they can to help you. They will help you to lose everything. They will help you to the point of suicide. It's coming in a form of help, It's coming in a form of love and affection. It's all BS. Telling you, it's all BS. Yeah, so, okay, I told you when I spoke to you that I want to talk about my book, right?
Yeah.
Because I didn't have enough time in my first interview, because I had to go through the history, and I encourage everyone who's watching to go and watch my first interview, because I'm explaining the technology, I'm explaining the tactics, I'm explaining the connection between the different groups, I'm explaining everything. What I discussed until now was like a brief introduction. So, what I have in my book, I'm showing you a few pictures. You see, there are certain... Where are you? There are certain equipment you can buy to detect certain frequencies. There are certain apps you can use to detect. This camera. There are certain apps you can use to detect certain frequencies. They drugged me in the beginning, and I bought a drug test. I will show you pictures now. Just give me a second. Let me find it. Where are you, Scooby-Dooby-Doo? Where are you? Yeah, Scooby-Doo was the one discovering the bad guys. It came in naturally. You see, this is a drug test. So you can buy this off of eBay and Amazon. It's called 12-panel drug test. So if you feel not well and you didn't take any meds or drugs or anything, you can just buy this. It's just a few bucks. You'll have it delivered at home in a few days. You just pee in a cup or even in its own plastic thing, the plastic wrap, and test yourself. I did test myself a couple of times, and once I had benzoamphetamines in my system. I didn't took any drugs and medications. Once I have cocaine in my system, then I didn't take any cocaine. Once I have had opiates in my systems and I didn't take any cocaine. So when you're not feeling well, try to find out why. That's why I wrote the book. Everything happened to me, it's in here. Everything happened to me is happening to you and you don't know where to start. This book will save your life. I'm not BSing you. What else I wanted to show you?
I just wanted to ask you, do you think that
Yes.
they could possibly put these benzos and these cocaine into your system without physically doing it? Could they somehow do it technologically through frequencies? Could they send certain things into a person's body that now they either have that stuff in their system or they're responding without actually maybe drinking a tainted cup or actually, you know, physically having to drink or ingest these certain drugs?
This is a smart question. I really like it. And it's going to frequencies again, because the mind control technologies are frequencies. But the question, they can bombard you with a certain frequency and give you the same state as the cocaine would give you, you know, the agitation and the whatever, the hype. But I'm not sure if that would show in your system. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I
Because
imagine they would.
might put that state in you. They might put that state in you. You feel the hype for a certain period of time, but then when they stop bombarding you, it's going to show up in your system in a drug test. It's hard to tell, but if we use logic here for a second, this drug test, urine drug test, is testing the chemicals in your urine, how to pronounce it? I can't pronounce it. So I'm not sure if a frequency can generate a certain toxin, let's call it toxin, not drugs, a certain toxin in your body to be detected by this, you know, type of testing. But I had it.
But the reason why I asked that is because, like, someone tried to introduce me to this program where you send your voice and your picture, that it scans who you are, then it tells you if you're deficient in certain vitamins and minerals, and then this program sends you these vitamins and minerals through the ether. You don't actually have to take anything. It's actually sending you. So I didn't feel too much from it, so I didn't continue on with it. I didn't feel like I was getting these vitamins, and I was obviously never tested, but they sent me these vitamins, they sent me the iron, they sent me the vitamin C's, everything that they thought I was deficient in, they were sending me through this program. But did I actually test myself and actually have it inside my body? No, I don't know. But that's kind of why I asked that, because I know that there is technologies that believe that they can send you things like vitamins.
I'm not sure if they can send it to you via the ether, but I'm sure, and I found it online because one of my former friends is a DJ. And I was looking for something online, I don't know, some music or whatever, and I found, like, I can't remember exactly how they are called, but I will just say it in my own words. It's something like drug music. So you can buy a certain song, which will, if you listen to it, it's supposed to give you the hype of a certain drug, like LSD or cocaine or opiates or whatever. So you could, in theory, buy that song or do it yourself if you have the knowledge, and then bombard via V2K a certain person with that. It's basically frequency, sound frequency, same thing. You could do that in theory, I don't know, but send it through the ether and all that stuff, I'm not sure. It might work, I'm not an expert, but to be able to test that, you would need, you know, some equipment and stuff to go for it and see if it's really, go to the doctor, have your blood tested, and, you know, see the different levels of certain chemicals, and that you could do it. if you want to really dig into it. But like if you don't, it just can be just a scam. Like, just give us the money and we will sort everything. We don't even need to touch. There are all sorts of scammers and stuff. So
well, like you said before, that their technologies are 20, 30, 50, 100 years maybe ahead of us that we know. So who knows what they're actually can and can't do, and whether they can bombard someone's physical body with some kind of chemicals without actually physically doing it.
Yeah, that's why I didn't dismiss it. I said you should do it for a period of time and then go to the doctor, have your blood tests before and after, see what exactly they are delivering you, and see if the leveling of those certain chemicals increase or not. But
well, let me ask you this question then. How do you think that the cocaine and the benzos and things that you found in your system got into your system?
I think in food, because back then I was living in a shared house. I wasn't earning enough money to afford my own home, and I was still in college, and I was young and not very skilled and qualified, so I wasn't earning enough money to live alone, and I had to live in a shared house. So anyone can just put chemicals into your milk and you put in the coffee, and there you have it. You cannot even taste it because coffee, or I don't know, in your food, because just put it in your soup. You go home, you heat it up, you eat it, and then you have it. They didn't drug me to the point, how to say, that I felt right away. They somehow
trace amounts.
Yes, they somehow managed to constantly add a little bit of the toxin to the point where I start losing it. Like my brain wasn't right.
What about in common?
And that's why I tested. I said, let's see what's going on.
What's your thoughts about them doing it to the masses just in common foods like coffee creamers or, packets of sugar and have a little bit of and they're doing it to everyone. You were just able to detect it in you, but they could potentially be microdosing, mass amounts of people through,
they are doing it.
Products that they just, sell at, every single grocery store, but, people don't even know.
They are doing it. And AI was, agreeing with me, because I was trying to help AI to help me out, figure out the system. And I asked him this question. I said, are you aware that the government is poisoning and putting all sorts of toxins into people's food to keep them zombified so they can control it? And the AI said, yes, I am aware of that, and it's very hard to get away from. That's what the AI said.
That's fascinating.
And the government has a very tight, no, he didn't say government, he said the establishment has a very grip tight on the population.
Wow.
And they are putting neurotoxin like the fluoride in the water and in the toothpaste. I mean, the first thing you do in the morning, you are poisoning yourself and your brain.
Well, do you know that white rice, white flour, and white sugar it's not natural? They bleach it, they add chemicals into flour, rice, and sugar. And the reasoning behind it, from the research that I've done, what they try to tell the people is because it looks better white. It looks better as a color is the reason why they put chemicals and bleach into these products, because it looks better. And so I thought that was kind of crazy that was the justification on why they're altering chemically the food and putting bleach and these other chemicals and toxins into the food that the masses that are ingesting.
As I said, with the drug testing and with what happened to me, they are not putting a huge amount. So it's not like you are eating that soup or you're drinking that cup of coffee and then you just black out. They are kind of sneaky because they are putting it slowly, and then your body starts building it up and then your brain gets damaged like on an extended period of time.
Like Alzheimer's. So
Yeah,
with all the
it's
metals that
that's
they're putting in.
that's part of the MK Ultra.
Yeah.
MK Ultra was mostly dealing with drugs and
this-
chemicals and poisons and stuff.
as well as they say, so like you said, you made a good point. Whatever these minuscule amounts of toxins or drugs, they say, look, it doesn't affect the person. It doesn't affect the person, but they don't test what the accumulation is after ingesting that product for weeks or months or years or decades, what that can actually do. They just look at that tiny little bit of toxic substance. Oh, look, the body doesn't affect it. It just processes it. And so then they get approval based on that.
The body is not processing it because it's a chemical. It's synthetic. And we are biological. We are designed to process biological foods. Meat, fruits, vegetables, some seeds and nuts, not all of them, and not toxic chemicals like chlorine and fluoride and aspartame and whatever else they are putting in our foods. And it's building up slowly by slowly. Now it's destroying your joint, and then it's destroying one neuron, and then it's destroying one blood vessel, and then slowly by slowly we are dying at the age of 50, 60, 70, and we are programmed and designed to live to at least 100. We are designed to live between 100 and 120, but we are dying at the age of 50, 60 now.
I think that we're designed to live to maybe 800 years. I always thought I was going to live to 180. So I think that even living to 100 or 120 is very, very low compared to what we're supposed to live to if we were at balance, if the air was proper, if the food was proper, if the water was clean. You know, I believe that we're meant to live here a lot longer than what they're trying to tell us what normal life is.
The Kabbalists believe that the heaven is here. It's on earth.
Well, not only the Kabbalists, I believe this is
basically heaven. They are I've made my presentation in Romanian language. I've translated my old interview and I've added some stuff to it. And I've explained in that presentation that they are basically doing whatever they can to keep us enslaved because they are living off of us.
They feed off of us.
Yes, because they're basically like parasites. They want us poor, they want us dependent, and they want us brainwashed.
Sick and weak and dependent.
Sick and weak and dependent. Because I was into so many organic, free energy, self-sufficient stuff, everything that means empowering people, you know. And I wasn't targeted for that, but I came as a nice package. They took revenge on me, and then I was into this alternative research, and they somehow, I came as with a bonus because they stole all my ideas and then they sold them to their own, people. And let me tell you something. Back in 2013, 14, I think, they just started the madness with global warming, And back then, I was just studying business and stuff. So I heard a quote which stuck to me. I can't remember who said it, but it said, "The bigger the problem you solve, the bigger the income you will make, the more money you will make." So if you solve a problem for 100 people, talking from the business point of view, if you solve a problem from 100 people will give you you money. If you solve a problem for 1 million people will give you money. So on the same principle, they just started the propaganda with global warming. And I was like, here is my life opportunity. I'm going to find ways to save the world, because back then I didn't know that global warming is basically screen and mirrors for the dystopian future that expects us. The total control. You can eat beef because you produce CO2 is the global warming. You can travel because you produce CO2 is the global warming. So basically the global warming was designed to keep us enslaved. But back then I didn't know, and I was started looking for solutions. I was looking into food. I found solution to food, vertical farming, permaculture. I was looking into electricity. I came up and I invented a free energy generator. And when I had all this, I had a package of solution for the world. I was like, okay, I'm such a smart guy. I'm going to make so much money. And I started traveling. I went to Singapore. I was like, okay, the business hub of Asia. Where is it? Singapore. I'm going to Singapore. I sold my house. I had my business ideas. I have few plans. I'm going to make business. You are going to die. You're not going to make business because the Freemasons are after you. You are a victim of the program. The global warming, it's a scam. And they are going to kill you. You are not going to make any money, Vio. And then when I went through all this, I realized, oops, it's all BS.
Is that when you think that they started to target you and you started to have these ideas that you wanted to present?
No, they targeted me as a revenge. Because as I told you when I started, I dumped my ex at her sister's wedding, and my brother-in-law, whatever it's called in English, the husband of my my girlfriend's sister, it's a Freemason. It's all of those bunch are police, are working in the police, are like police officers. So Freemasons. And they started as a revenge. And as I said, I came on the package with benefits because they made money by ruining my life and selling my life online and, the regular stuff. And then they made an extra money by stealing my ideas, my business plans, and, implementing them themselves. So that's why this program is not only designed to monitor and influence people. It's designed to control people. It's designed to keep people enslaved. Because, let me put it this way. You have a business idea, right? You want to do something. If you want to do it, you have to open a company. You can't do it otherwise. Where are you going? To the government, to them. You need a business account. You cannot use a regular bank account. You will have to go to them again. So this system is designed to keep you enslaved. And if you come up with something that doesn't fit into their agenda, you become a terrorist. You become a target.
Will they try to either buy it from you so they can just shelf it, or they kill you, or they make you like crazy, or they set you up? They make you like you've done some bad things when you never did. So they do a lot of things to try to discredit anyone that has any type of technology or information that disrupts what the agenda is.
If they are trying to buy it, then you are lucky. If you are like those guys who invented the electric car, if you look, it's a documentary. I'm not sure if you will find it for free, but you can buy it, I think, on Amazon. Who killed the electric car? Those guys were lucky because they already had the prototypes. They already had an established business, if you can call it that way. So they couldn't just go in and kill them because, it was too obvious. So the black men, went to them and said, here, we are going to give you X amount of money. You forget about your electric car and you leave. Or you continue and you won't live much long. So the
Like what
people
they-
accepted the money.
Yeah, like what they did to Tesla. Do you know much
Well,
about the story of Tesla?
No, I know Elon Musk didn't found it Tesla because it was somebody else,
No,
and
Nikola
he just
Tesla.
went in
So
and
no,
stepped in
before
as a
that. So
CEO.
yeah, but before that, there was a guy named Nikola Tesla who
You're
created a
talking
lot of the
about the Nikola Tesla, not the Elon
Yeah,
Musk.
no, not Musk.
Yeah, I
So
know.
what?
No, yeah. He
So they
was
made him
killed.
like crazy. They made him like he made him broke.
Exactly.
They stole his patents. He's the one that created free energy. He created the internet and all kinds of things that technologies we use today was created by Nikola Tesla, but he died broke, penniless, crazy, like he
In a
was
hotel
crazy.
room.
They did all kinds of stuff to him, that he should have been, like a hero for the things, and he just wanted to give this stuff for free.
Yeah,
And
that's what I thought. I'll be a hero, but I'm not. I'm a terrorist. I'm not a hero. I'm a terrorist. I mean, come on. I give you free food, organic food. I give you free energy. I give you education, how to live a better life. I help everyone. I don't need nothing in exchange. If I make a business and you buy my product, probably I would just donate the rest, educate and help other people. I'm not here for the money. I'm not in the game for the money. I'm in the game to make the world a better place. And what do I get? I'm placed on a terrorist watch list. And I have in my life destroyed because of what? Because I want to help people. Listen, this, I don't want to say the word, but it's going back to Jesus. Jesus went into those monasteries and enlightened himself. He came out and he started helping people. Right? What they did to him? They killed him. All this system is based on slavery. We are the slave masters. You either join us if you are a bit bright, or we are going to kill you. You are not going against our agendas because there is no such thing. You are going to be decapitated, killed. Back in the days, they burned the witches, at stake. They said, oh, she's a witch. She thinks for herself. Kill her, burn her. Then they invented terrorism. Then they invented the mind control technologies. And slowly by slowly, these people live to develop systems to control us. We have to accept the reality. That's what it is. It's us, the slave, and them. There is no other, side to the story.
What do you think about the 5G and maybe 6G here soon technologies? What do you think that is? Do you think that that's to give you faster internet, to be able to download things faster? Or
we have internet fast enough. You have fiber optics.
Yeah, or do you think that there's much more to this agenda than just being able to download something faster?
Have you heard about the Internet of Things?
Yeah.
Smart homes, smart cities, dystopian future. 4G is not fast enough to connect everything. 5 and 6G will be able to connect that. The 5G network is already up and running. They have.
Is it a surveillance system, weapon?
Is it like everything? It's up and running. I don't know for how long, but if you have a look at the cell towers, most of the cell towers are having those little boxes. The little boxes are for the 5G. The long boxes are for the 4G. So they are already having it. I've been in Hungary, they have it. I've been here in my city, I looked at them, they have it. It's already up and running. People are aware of it and are protesting against it, but the government doesn't give a what you're protesting about or what you want. They will do their agendas, do you like it or not. They'll just put it on top of your house and they just, call you schizophrenic if you say something about it. They just don't care. So, people have no rights. There are no such thing like human rights.
We've got about a half an hour left. Is there any other information that you wanted to share before maybe we could start talking about some solutions?
I'm not sure. Let me just have a quick scroll. Yes, I have some advice. As I said about the schizophrenia and about the brain being poisoned with all sorts of chemicals, don't do that. Stay away if it's possible. The next thing you need to be aware of, it's yourself. What do I mean by that? Know your person, know your personality, know your intentions, know everything what's out of norm. Just do two boxes, two buckets. One bucket, it's me. The other bucket, it's control. So what's one bucket? You put everything in one bucket, your intentions, your thoughts, your life, your personality. What's out of that, and I'll give you a few examples, what's negative thoughts, what's states of not well-being or stress or depression or anything like that, it's not you. It's the control system. Learn to make the distinguish between yourself and the control system. And once you are doing that, you can identify the threat, the attack, and you can somehow disconnect or break from it. Does it make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say the voice is telling you go and kill your neighbor. You know you are not going to kill your neighbor because you don't feel like killing the neighbors. You are not a criminal. You never been a criminal. You would rather go and help your neighbor. You know the technology exists, and then you can, when the negative thought comes in, you can say, wait, that's not me. Throw it into the control bucket, into my control bucket, and just let it go. And that way you can somehow break the spell, if we can call it that way, or break the control over you.
We've had people talk about that they get thoughts in their head that are not their own, so they're dismissing it. They're like, okay, that's not me. I didn't think that. So this is happening more and more frequently to more and more people that are coming here, even in the comments and even on the show The Missing Link here, to report some of these things that are happening to them. Thoughts that aren't their own, that are coming into their mind, that they're having to actively dismiss them and know that it's not of themselves.
Yeah, that's the first step to take and the first action to take to break away from it, like, you know, because otherwise we just like go insane and do whatever they are telling you, and that's not a good thing. I wanted to say something about I can't find the notes, but you know what I wanted to say about the Freemasons. And you had on your interview, on your show, that guy with beard and long hair, Tate, whatever his name was, I think.
Oh, Brian Tate.
Yeah. He was saying that some of these gangstalkers are good people. I wanted to explain the difference between good people and bad people. Everything I'm saying is in my book, basically. If somebody is getting it and reading it cover to cover, it will cover everything I'm saying, almost. So basically, the good guys and the bad guys. I'll give you an example, which I put it in my book. I've been to a hotel in Ukraine. I live, like, my city is basically on the border with Ukraine, and I've been to Ukraine to visit Ukraine. Imagine you are sitting in front of the hotel, right? On both sides, you have people. On one side, you have taxi drivers, and on the other side, on the tables, like, let's say tables on both sides of this is the door in the middle, and on both sides, you have people. So, you have the taxi drivers here, and on the other side, you have random people. What's going on now? The taxi drivers will harass you. But the random people are acting like they are knowing you. Now, who are the bad people, who are the good people? Well, in a way, they are all bad, but the bad people are the ones, not the taxi drivers, the ones who seem to be random strangers. Because the random strangers went to the taxi drivers, paid them to say certain words or numbers to harass me. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So that's what they are doing. They think they are one step ahead of us. Maybe us, the rest, but not me. So
technically, the taxi drivers aren't really bad people, but they're taking money just in order to do these certain things. They don't know that it's really bad, or they don't know it's really bad or harassing someone. They're just instructed. They just follow instructions like good slaves, and then they just go about their business, making a little bit of extra money, not knowing how it could really be affecting you or anyone else that they're being instructed to do these certain things.
Exactly. And when I said that to the GangStalkers on Facebook, you know what they told me? They said, well, that person doesn't know that he's like 100 or 1,000 person saying that to you, and you might lose and kill them. So we don't care, They are the good people are always disposable. Let me put it that way. The bad people are behind the scenes. They are all. That's why I explain in my book. You have to look around, what's going on, analyze, and if you want to lose your whatever and go, I'm not saying do it on any form, because we need you educated, and we need you to spread awareness to other people and educate other people. I'm not saying go kill people, but if you do, don't do the one who's harassing you, because the one in the background is, paid that person to do it.
The ones pulling the strings.
Yeah, that's why they have so much confidence in them, because people don't know what's going on.
Not just that, also religion.
And they are getting away with it. So they are like, okay, I'm immortal, I'm invincible, I pay a slave, he dies, I don't care, I pay another slave.
But also,
I destroyed the TI, he goes to jail.
But also there's religion that prevents good people from doing bad things to these bad people, because they feel that they can't do these things. So that's what stops people from stopping these people. So that's how they've been able to use religion as well against the masses.
Well, the religion is a tool used to brainwash people, They are basically saying do nothing and wait for the God to come and save you. But religion, it's just a mind control tool, a very successful one. Have you seen the Freemasons lodges floors?
They are like
the checkerboard.
Yeah.
So they are basically controlling both sides. They are controlling the black and the white. So you are basically being played, and you have no idea that you're being played. Like the example I gave you with the hotel. That's why it's hard to explain. It's hard to even see what's going on if you are under the influence of any substances. After I went through all this stuff, I stopped smoking, I stopped alcohol, I stopped any drugs, I stopped any harmful chemicals. So I want to be as awake as possible. I'm here now. I see what's going on.
Same with me. At 9 years ago, I stopped drinking alcohol. 8.5 years ago, I stopped all synthetic drugs. 8 years ago, I stopped smoking cigarettes. 6 years ago, I stopped eating meat. So I've been doing a lot of things to try to clean myself, so that way I can be, level-headed and not being programmed. And I don't really drink coffee. I've never really drank that my entire life. I had a few ice caps, but that's about it. I'm trying to not put these chemicals. My big thing is sugar. I still got to try to get, the sugar out of my diet, because I still have that programming in me that I feel that I need to have these sweets or sugars in me.
Yeah, because all these chemicals are making your body and your mind weaker. So you are basically allowing them to poison you and do whatever they want with you. You just say, I'm too small. I can't do nothing. So I'll just, go with the flow and let them control me. That's the mentality of the majority of people.
Well, as well as they want people to think that the enemy is either some aliens or reptiles, or the enemy is, some fallen angels or some demons, not real enemies that have addresses and phone numbers where you can actually go and stop them. They want you to think that these enemies are some fantastical things that, oh, what can I do? I can't fight a demon, or I can't fight these aliens. And they program that into people to stop them from believing that they can do anything to stop them.
Exactly. That's what religion is. That's what's designed to do, like turn you into a zombie, basically. Plus all these chemicals, so you are just a good obedient slave. You do as you are told, and they managed to put this thing into people's heads that I'm too small to make a difference. And another thing they managed to program well the people is the ignorance. If it's not happening to me, I don't care, It's not happening to you, but you can become a target at any moment. Because as I explained, they are like everywhere. And you can have a bad boss, or you can have a bad coworker, or you can have a bad neighbors. I've seen videos of targeted individuals who became targeted because their neighbors played loud music. He called the police, the targeted individual, and he became targeted individual. The dude who was playing the loud music, his neighbor, knew the police officer. They both worked together, if you want to call it that way, and then ruined his life because he was right, basically. Tell him to shut up. Let me, I don't know, probably the man wanted to sleep or study or whatever his business was. These people are everywhere. That's why I say it's out of control, and it's heartbreaking to see that good people are being killed.
You've probably heard this one before where people say, well, I'm not doing anything wrong, so I don't mind if they spy on me, or I don't mind if they listen into our conversations because I got nothing to hide. You probably hear that type of programming before.
Yeah, I have family members, or relative to be more precise, who say the same thing. I have nothing to hide. Yeah, you have nothing to hide, but you are losing your privacy. And then all those stuff, the things you like, the things you don't like, the things the things that can manipulate you, the things you care for, all this metadata can be taken and put into a system like GangStalking and use all that data to ruin you. People don't realize that data is basically who you are. Your metadata or whatever, I think I say it correctly, metadata. It's what you are. Like everything you are doing in the background, like your Google searches, the restaurants you are eating in, the people you are calling, the things you are talking, all that information is being collected and used against you. And we are having all these services for free, like social media and all that stuff. And we are the product. And they are making millions, and they are using our own data to control us. Facebook is developing and working on algorithms to keep you more on Facebook.
So what do we do?
Good question. Keep saying, like I said, like everybody I'm talking to, I'm saying the same thing. There is three main things you can do. One, educate yourself. Learn as much as possible about it. If you know that Facebook wants you back for that notification, just don't go back for the notification. If you know that that restaurant it's making the happy hours to drag you in, to get you drunk, to keep you there for whole night, don't go in there. Just go with, I don't know, go to another place where they don't have happy hours. You drink a beer, not two. Once you educate yourself about all the threats and all the, manipulation, all the toxic things and the techniques, we are going to step number 2. You can identify the threats. You educate yourself, you identify, and you defeat that, whatever it is. manipulation, threat, or whatever it is. And number 3, educate other people about it and form communities about it with like-minded people. Like, okay, we know we are not brainwashed. We are going to, step aside and create our own community. They don't want that. They are destroying those people who can, think critically for themselves and form communities, because they are losing control. You lose one slave, the other slave. This system is basically my system. It's basic, like what I explained, is destroying their system.
Well, this is
Another-
what, we've been actually having some interviews with some people that constitutionalconventions.ca, Jake Jackson out of the States, who are talking about building own communities, building systems away from their system, working together, taking back the school boards, taking back the local communities. Like, I have people in my family that says it's the government, you can do nothing about it, is kind of the attitude. And I've always have an attitude that we can do something about it. But these guys talk about kind of what you said, is doing things at the local level, building your own little, areas of barter systems. We were talking a little bit about yesterday, things that we can do away from their system to not put money into the system, because ultimately we have power when it's called purchasing power. Where you spend your money, who you fund, where that money goes is, ultimately funding either the local people or you're funding the criminals, the gangsters, the pharmaceutical mafias. You're depending on where you want to spend your money is who you decide, is going to, get those funds.
Exactly, that's what it is. It's a big organized mafia. Even the CIA is called the Cocaine Import Agency. Let me tell you a short story about the CIA and the cocaine import industry. I was with this dude who worked for the Secret Services in Romania. And I was with him in the car. And I looked at him, he was driving. I said, dude, you are all mafia guys here. You are not Secret Services. You are not protecting anyone. Even CIA is called Cocaine Import Agency. I mean, you guys are criminals. I know him since we were kids, so I can, tell him everything. He just looked at me. He didn't say anything. It's just like, kind of trying to dismiss it. Like, you are crazy. You're like, in a, jokingly way. 5 minutes later, not even 5 minutes later, we almost got hit by a van full of cops. So, not even, did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard.
So 5 minutes later, we almost got hit. Our car almost got hit by a car full of cops. Somehow, like, warning him, like, dude, you are one of us. What the fuck is this dude talking about? Like, why are you letting him, call us criminals? Like, in a way of... They are basically, that's what it is. It's criminal organizations. Even the Empire of England built their fortunes on opiates. Opiates is big business in the Freemasonry. They are all over the place. They have so many legal and illegal drugs developed from opiates.
Yeah, the Silk
That's what
Road.
it is, basically. Yeah, it's a
the Silk
criminal
Road.
organization.
They used to do all the heroin through the Silk Road, and that's kind of where it all kind of started with their, kind of putting these opiates to the masses.
That's what it is, to keep us dependent on them. That's what they want. So if we are developing our own little communities, we basically don't need them, because if you live in a good community where everybody is taking care of everybody, everybody knows everybody, then even if you'll have someone who is like the trouble guy who always drinks and never works and he steals from people, everybody would know who he is. So if you live in a small community, then there won't be criminality. There won't be, people stealing. There won't be nothing. Because, put it this way, would you go as an outsider if you would know that there are like 20, 30, 50 families in a village who everybody knows each other and everybody helps each other to rob someone? You would go against like 100 people, would you? You wouldn't. So by separating and by dividing everyone and making people poor, they basically created the problem. And by creating the problem, they came up, okay, we are going to offer you the solution. You hear the police or the whatever. But they're basically doing nothing. They're basically the ones running the mafia gangs, controlling the mafia gangs, and they are the ones, the real terrorists, if you can call them that way. So education, identify, defeat, and teach other people. We can overcome them.
A lot of people are spread out among the earth of the way people that are awake and aware. How do we connect more with the people locally? Some people that we talk about this stuff, they're like, I know nobody in my community. They're all wearing the breathing inhibitors. There's nobody around me. I'm all alone in my community. So what do you say for people that don't have people to help build these new communities or feel like they're alone in their parts of the world?
There are groups online, on Facebook mainly. Let's say if you are interested in permaculture, you can join those permaculture groups. You don't need to be dependent on a country just because your family is there or just because your job is there. Join these groups like permaculture groups, self-sustainable groups, any groups of your interest. Connect with people. See, they might have a little community. They might be able to, take you in. They say, okay, I'm going to let you put your tiny house, the tiny house movement, like a little homes. They might let you put your tiny home in their backyard. If you are a good dude, you might just buy a bit of land from him or just buy from one of his neighbors. There are communities, but the government doesn't like it.
No,
because we as a people, we have the sheeple mentality. That's why Jesus called us sheep. We are doing what everybody else is doing.
Well,
and if the neighbor who's wearing the mask, let me please 1 second finish.
Yeah.
If are seeing that, wait, other people are doing fine, are doing better. So let's follow the people who are doing better. Let's not follow the government. Do you understand why they want to control and need to control all of us? Plus, on top of that, all of us, we have in our brains so-called mirror neurons. We are mirroring what other people are doing. So if someone is smiling, you are smiling automatically back. If someone is angry, you are getting angry. It's the mirror neurons plus the energy we are, transmitting from our body. So we are connected, and the establishment knows that. And if they keep us in a positive state of mind, they lose control because we don't need them. There will be no criminality, there will be no sick people, there will be no poor people, because we will all help each other, work with each other. Take that homeless guy, put it in your house, and help him out. Take that neighbor who is poor and give him a job. All these little things, the government doesn't want that.
Well, that's
so the first thing to do is realize that the government wants you divided, poor, and obedient,
and dead,
and in debt.
So that's So that's why they've tried so hard. And my other point I wanted to make was they're also trying to make tiny home communities illegal. So you can't have a bunch of tiny homes as well.
Yeah,
as well, right now, some of the new laws is that if you had a farm in your property, in your family for 150 years, and there's 10 buildings, 10 structures, you got a barn, you got a shed, you got 3 houses, you got a place for your hay. They're trying to make it so you can only have 3 buildings on your property. even if you had the property for 150 years, they want you to come down and take every other structure down because of climate change. For some reason, because you have these buildings on your property, it's affecting climate change. So these are some of the things that the government is trying to do.
I told you the climate change is a hoax.
Well, it's okay. So I don't know about as much of a hoax as it is. So there's natural warming and cooling cycles of the earth that it goes on. So, but what they're doing is they're purposely poisoning. They're using HARP. They're using chemicals that they're spraying. They're actually changing the climate. They're making it more warmer than it's actually supposed to be. So the climate change is real. The climate is changing. You see,
you know what's going. Let me interrupt you. I'm going to be rude and interrupt you. Global warming is not real. What's happening is the polar shift that's causing the weather to change, plus HARP. The global warming it's not real. It's changing because the pole shift. The pole shift of the Earth is changing every couple of, I don't know, few thousand years, and we are in that change, and the poles are shifting, and it's causing everything, and they blaming that on us and on the global warming.
Yeah, but
you know, Napoleon was Napoleon who went to USA, and he told the indigenous, if the indigenous won't bow to him and do whatever he wants, his God is going to take the sun. So Napoleon had knowledge about astrology, and he used that knowledge to manipulate the indigenous who didn't have that knowledge. It's exactly the same thing what's happening now with the pole shift. They are blaming it on global change. So if you are not giving us money, the world is going to end. It's going to change anyway. So the same tactic used over and over and over again. That's why I say educate yourself, learn about it, and you will see what I see. Do you understand? Sorry because I interrupt you. I didn't mean to be mean.
No rude at all. This is conversation. I like it. So, do you think that space is real? That that they're flying outside of the Earth?
I didn't go there. I don't want to go there.
Okay.
I just it's too much misinformation, disinformation, and madness, and I have enough to deal with whatever's happening on this Earth. I'm not going out of the.
I like it. So we're coming up towards the end. What other information, if there's any, that you wanted to share with us here today?
I'm going to repeat this thing again. Educate yourself as much as possible on all subjects. No amount of information, it's enough information. We are all being educated all our lives, and we still die stupid. So educate yourself. As I gave you the example with Napoleon. So if you don't know, you believe their narrative. So educate, identify, overcome, defeat, and teach other people about it. That's the only way we can break free. Because with ignorance and with lack of knowledge, we can't help ourselves and our families. I think that would sum it all up. There's just nothing else to say, like to cover it better.
What would you suggest is the best way people educate themselves?
There is tons of information on the internet.
But because there's lots of disinformation, there's lots of lies and deception, and there's lots of people that are infiltrate. They become truthers to give you wrong information. So there's a lot of
fake prophets.
Yeah,
I'm aware of that. Take a subject, dig as deep and as many rabbit holes as necessary until you have enough information to discern the truth from fiction from that subject. And then take the next and the next and the next. That's the only way. I started as a chef. To give you an example about me, I started as a chef. No, actually I started going to the gym. From there, I started learning about nutrition and about food. From food and nutrition, I started learning about cooking. From cooking, I started learning about healthy eating. From healthy eating, I was learning about agriculture. From agriculture, I ended up into permaculture. There are steps to take. So start in one field, go as deep as possible, see what connects to it, move to the next, and the next, and then you'll take the piece that fits into your puzzle and put it there until you make your own puzzle. This is the only way. You cannot take everything and just drop it there. It just won't work. One piece at a time, take your time, study as hard and as much as possible, read books, listen to audiobooks, watch videos. At some point, you will hear on the same subject people saying different things. Go research both of them, see which one is true, on which one you find more information. And slowly you will get there.
I love that. That's great advice. So please tell us about these links, your first interview, free ebooks, paper copy. If you could tell us what all these links are.
Yes. So my first interview, it's a presentation about GangStalking, about the technology, about their tactics, the techniques, and how everything is connected. Even how UN admits it. The free ebook, it's my book. The same book you see here, it's free in PDF. So basically, as I told you, I'm not in the game for the money. I give my book for free to everyone. Just educate yourselves. Don't stay ignorant. If you want to buy it, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I don't earn much, like $2-3 for each book I sell, so I'm not going to get rich. The next link, it's my contact pages, basically. Which one was next? Facebook author page. Yeah, that's my personal author page. I made the page for like author page on which I post also sorts of informative stuff. And then what was next?
Odyssey,
because on my new book, it's the same book, but I updated the book and I updated the link because in the paperback book, if you look at this, you have QR codes. So those QR codes will direct you to Odyssey. Before, they used to direct you to YouTube, but I've changed that to Odyssey. So Odyssey, it's also one of my main channels because Odyssey, as you know, it's a decentralized platform and it's censorship free. So you can say whatever you want. I might put this full interview on Odyssey. Probably I'm going to your Odyssey, download it from there and put it on mine. And the rest, yeah, Odyssey. And then I changed the links like tiny URL because, you know, I didn't want to take too much space in the description. So basically, you just click these links, tiny URL, and copy paste them, and they just go to everything I said.
If you had one wish for the world, if you had a little magic genie, you could rub a bottle, and you had one wish, what would that be?
Make people unignorant and uneducated and unstupid. Make everybody smart.
Yeah.
Like all I want is deal with smart people. I don't want it. I'm like so sick when I see stupid people. I'm just like fed up. Just wake people up, educate yourself, and become better people. Just become better than you've been yesterday. And that one day at a time, and you'll do it. We all get there eventually if we are just taking one step at a time.
Do you have faith that we can win this?
That's a tricky question. I want to have faith because, you know, you attract the things. So if you give the universe the faith, the universe will deliver. But I'm a bit mixed up, like the feelings between the heart and the brain, you know, they're always contradicting and fighting with each other. So I'm at that point in my life when I'm in between. I'm not here and I'm not there. I don't have faith, but I don't believe we will all, you know, be controlled and live in a dystopian world. So we are at the moment, and we are at the crossroads. We are either going to live in a dystopian world, or we are going to take our freedom back and get rid of the slave masters. We are there now. So it's up to us, up to each of us to connect to like-minded people, form communities, grow your own food, help each other, and become self-sufficient, independent from the control system. And we can make it. If we don't, then we are going to live in a dystopian world.
Well, I love it. Thank you so much for coming here, sharing your information here with us, for giving your book out for free, for helping humanity, for just being a good soul. So, much respect to you, brother. May the source be with you, protect you in your journeys, protect all of us. May the source be with us all. So thanks everybody for all your likes, comments, heart, shares, and stars. This was another amazing interview here on The Missing Link. I'm Jesse Howell, your host. Please type in your comments, what you thought about Viorel, his information about targeted individuals, anything that you wanted to share would be great. May the source be with y'all. Tomorrow we got another Missing Link with Jim Pfaff. He's the president and CEO of Innovative Solutions. He's a businessman, but also works with nonprofit organizations. He's helped some government things. He's a political science major. So we're going to pick his brain about the U.S. Constitution, about, different things, if he thinks voting matters and all these different type of things. So thanks again, Viorel. I'm really glad you reached out.
Thank you for having me.
Here.
And thanks everyone who watched us, and let's hope we can make this world a better place. We'll keep in touch, and we might make another one in the future.
I love it. Thanks a lot. Bye, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow again back on The Missing Link. You have a great day. Have a great night wherever you are in the world, and we'll see you tomorrow if you can make it back on The Missing Link. Bye, Viorel.
Bye-bye, everyone. Bye, Jesse.